What is the total price tag to meaningfully resuscitate local news? I've seen different estimates. I know the amount of money that has been extracted from the sector by the death of all these newspapers and everything is in the low tens of billions, let's call it. But then I've heard that you could actually revive a lot of these orgs for a small fraction of that. Someone had an estimate, it might have been you actually, but that you could bring it all back. I'm going to pitch a vision to you that you probably run around pitching all the time. So newspapers in these communities are dead or dying, but most communities could support a local publication through a combination of philanthropic support and a bit of advertising and a bunch of other things, if it wasn't expected to do anything more than break even. Like one of the problems that a lot of these pubs, as soon as they got bolted onto a publicly traded company or a private equity firm got a hold of it, they were like, hey, we need double-digit returns, we need all this stuff. And so if you took it like a town library and said, hey, town this size should have a paper. Here's the paper. Here's like a lean, mean skeleton crew. And then here are a few philanthropists who are into it. And then a few local businesses that kind of love the idea of there being a paper. That a lot of communities could sustain a paper, again, not as a money-making enterprise, but as a break-even proposition. Right. And I think that there are some experiments in that direction. How much would you need if you had a magic wand to say, look, let's try and make it so that there aren't as many news deserts?
I think that if it were well targeted, something like $2 billion a year.
Yeah, it was a number that sounded so manageable when you said it.
Exactly. Then one of my colleagues in this world says, solving local news is a ballet-sized problem, by which he means it's about as much as people contribute to the ballet each year. Just to get, and he's a big supporter of the ballet. He didn't mean it. He did not mean it as an insult.
He wasn't disparaging the ballet. He was just like, I need to 2x my ballet support.
Exactly. He's just saying like, no, this is a manageable problem. Like compared to like global warming or, things on that scale, the dollars that are entailed in solving this problem, especially when you consider the benefits that come out of it from society of doing it, are really not that much. And there is, so it does have to have, a few different pieces. The news organizations need to be improving their models. Obviously, and that includes dealing with the ownership issue that you talked about. So, there are really two parts to this problem. The big part is what you said initially about the advertisers basically left and went to the internet. First it was Craigslist, now it's Facebook and Google and Amazon. But the other part of the problem is that half of the daily newspapers in America now are owned by hedge funds or private equity firms. And, the experience over and over again is that they just slash the newsrooms way more than if it's a family-owned newspaper or a nonprofit. So the idea of having sort of local news in local hands, I think, is actually part of the solution in dealing with the ownership structure issues. Because as you said, it's exactly what you said, is that they require, in the case of a publicly traded company, a certain return on investment. In the case of the private hedge funds, extracting cash out of it. So it's not sufficient to be break even. They have to be producing 15, 20% or higher returns at a time when the core business model of the industry is collapsing. It just doesn't work. But if you reset the mentality toward being sustainable and break even, then it often is doable. And it'll probably include, I always think of it as three parts: business model improvements, by which we mean better serving the community, but also new things like digital subscriptions or donations or things like that. Two is an increase in philanthropy. This is just, if we're going to look at this as a public good, it's going to have to be something that big, medium, and small donors help support. And the third is taxpayers, is some kind of public support to make it happen. We don't want the government part of this ever to be, the majority. That probably would be dangerous. But if we do those three things, then it should be quite doable.
Hey YouTube, thanks for watching. Please do hit like and subscribe and hit that bell if you want to be notified every time a new episode drops. Thank you.